Hello, I am Arion. This is Book Zealots. This is Manifest Destiny 1843, and boy do I have notes. I will include them in, I'm trying to think how I did this. I think I have to put them in the community page so that you guys can have access to it. If you are new to Manifest Destiny, it is in the American version of October, except it's all year. Hop in when you want to hop in. Read a topic that you want to read about, as long as it's from a person or an event or things that happened between 1838, is that 1837? I forget now, and 1901. If the person happens to be born in 1901, you can read about him. If the event happens in 1901, you can read about it. If the person lived during that time period but was born before 1838, is it 1838 or 1837? So if you find a person that you want to read about and he was born or she was born or lived during that time period but was born way before 1837, it counts. It counts. This is loosey-goosey, no strict, like, you know how Victober is. If you followed Victober, you know how strict it is. So this is the American version, Manifest Destiny. Read widely. Okay, we'll try to remember to put a link for the Manifest Destiny playlist. You can go to the front page, find it. Okay, let's dive in. 1843, baby. Starting with the president of the time, President John Tyler, and the impeachment attempt was still going on. It started July 1842 and continued into January of 1843. Now I have so many notes, so I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible, and I will try to put the timelines. I think there are timelines in the videos so that you can jump to how you want to look, and for people that you're interested in. Let's start with William McKinley. He was born January 29th, 1843. He died September 14th, 1901. He was the 25th president. Anybody viewing this, are you participating in reading about all of the presidents? January 6th, John Coit Spooner was a politician, and he died in 1919. I don't think I put any information about him. John H. Moffett was born January 8th. He was a United States representative from New York. So if you wanted to read about New York during that time period, totally counts. You don't have to read about politicians. It's New York. Medal of Honor recipient for his actions during the Civil War. Obviously, the Civil War counts, even though we're not there yet. 1843. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Letitia Stevenson, wife of Adlai Stevenson I. She was the second lady of the United States, and she died in 1913. I don't even know who she is. Have you all ever heard of her? I don't know who she is. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. January 10th, Frank James. Sound familiar? Okay. Sorry. Frank James. Yes, the older brother of Jesse James. He was born January 10th, 1843 in Kearney, Missouri, to Robert and Zerelda James. If you've never read about Zerelda James, I highly recommend it. That was one tough woman. She was really just kind of battle-hardened without going to battle, not going to in the military. Anyway, so he was the American outlaw to older brother Jesse James, and they were living in Missouri during the Civil War. honestly, if you've never read a Jesse James book, nonfiction. Actually, I'll try and remember to include the one that Prometheus and I read. That was really, really good. And that was the first time I had ever read about him. Okay, now let's move on to January 15th. William H. Harries. Is it Harries? Representative in the United States House of Representatives from Minnesota, and he died in 1921. January 16th, George E. Gard. He was a sheriff. He was an American law enforcement official who served as both chief of police of L.A., Los Angeles. This shocked me when I was researching this and bringing up all of this information. He was the sheriff of L.A. County. He was the fourth chief of police of L.A. from 1880 to 1881. Excuse me. And he was only one of 3 men who had held both positions. That's amazing. Now, I don't know if that's changed since then, but I assume it hasn't changed because I just looked this stuff up this month. February 2nd, Knute, K-N-U-T-E, Nelson. He was born in Norway, but he counts because he immigrated to the U.S., became the 12th governor of Minnesota in 1893 to 1895, and U.S. Senator from Minnesota from 1895 to 1923. He counts. So if you want to read about Norway during this time period, it counts. Manifest destiny. Sorry. No, I have not had sugar. February 3rd, William Cornelius Van Horn, North American railway magnate, and he died in 1915 in Canada. So he was born in America and started this railway, and it went to Canada. He lived in Canada later in his life, but it counts. February 7th, John B. Babcock, U.S. Army officer, died in 1909. February 9th, Andrew Traynor, Traynor. He was a soldier. He was born February 9th, 1843, died July 6th, 1920. He was an American soldier who fought in the American Civil War. He received the Medal of Honor for his action in Masons Hill, Virginia. I don't know about this battle. On March 16, 1864, I do not know about this battle. I don't think I've ever heard of it. Then February 15, Russell, okay, this one I'm not sure. The notes got messed up. So on February 15, a Russell Conwell, he was a Baptist minister, and he died in 1925. So if you wanted to study religion, if you wanted to study this particular man, I don't know how much information is on this person, but he counts. February 27th, Thomas Hammond. He was a politician. He was an American businessman and a politician who served 2 terms as a U.S. representative from Indiana from 1893 to 1895, and a Thomas Lowry. So Thomas Lowry was a lawyer and a businessman. So he was born February 27th, I believe, and died 1909. March 8th, Arthur Brown, U.S. Senator from Utah. You want to read about Utah? There was a lot going on in Utah. I don't know, do you consider that? If you live in the East Coast, or if you know or are curious about this time period, do you think that there was really that much going on in Utah and New Mexico and Arizona, California? I mean, obviously Oregon, because we had the Oregon Trail, the Oregon Trail, and then Washington State. Do you think about that? These people were either very brave or a little cuckoo. It depends on how you look at it, I suppose. March 17th, a Henry Ware Lawton was born. He was a general in the U.S. Army. He was a U.S. Army officer who served with distinction in the Civil War, and he was in the Apache Wars. I don't know that much about the Apache Wars, and the Spanish-American War. He received the Medal of Honor for heroism during the American War. He was the only U.S. general officer to be killed during the Philippine-American War. I'm not very familiar with that war either. And the first general officer of the United States killed in overseas action. The city of Lawton, Oklahoma takes its name from General Lawton. Did you know that? I didn't know that. As does a borough in the city of Havana, Cuba. I didn't know that either. I am learning so much. March 23rd, Joseph F. Johnston, a U.S. Senator from Alabama from 1907 to 1913. So even though his time period is after Manifest Destiny, after 1901, still counts. Let's see, where was I at? April 4th, William Henry Jackson. He was an explorer and a photographer. Okay, I have information on him because I was really amazed about him. So he was known as, William Henry Jackson was known as the picture maker of the Old West. He was a painter, a photographer, and explorer, famous for his images of the U.S. West. He was born April 4th, 1843, died June 30th, 1942. You doing the math? Yeah, he was 99 years old when he died. He was an American photographer, Civil War veteran, painter, and explorer, famous for the images of the American West. Okay, there's a famous picture that is called Mountain of the Holy Cross. I will include it because on the mountain it looks like there's a cross. I've never heard of this, and I guess there are other pictures more recent and in color that have been taken of this same mountain. This man was also the progenitor of America's national symbol, Uncle Sam. Did you all know that? I did not. I did not. So, I mean, this might be a man I want to research. Because, wow. Does it seem like all of these people are so extra? I mean, it's not enough for them to do one thing. They have to do 5. You know, it's not just be a geologist. They have to be 4 other things. Which reminds me of my cousin. She's going for her 5th or 6th degree in something. Anyway, extra. I don't know how, just hearing what she does makes me exhausted. I talked to her mother yesterday, so there's that. Anyway, okay, so April 15th, Henry James. Okay, Henry James. Have you all read a book by Henry James? If you follow me, you know that I just recently finished The American. He was born in America. Let me just read the notes. He was born in America, April 15th, 1843, Manhattan, New York. However, he died in London. And The American it takes place in England and France, but he's an American. Hence the name, The American by Henry James. There are, I think, Portrait of a Lady is probably one of his more popular books. I haven't read it. So I have notable works. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 books. One of them, another popular one would be The Turn of the Screw, which I don't know if I've read. I'd like to say I haven't, but, you know, I surprise myself when I go back and read. I go to read books. I went, oh yeah, I did read this. Okay, now where were we? We're discombobulated here. there are so many people and so much activity. Okay. So that was Henry James. May 6th, G.K. Gilbert, speaking of geologists, he died 1918. I think he was extra too. June 4th, Charles Conrad Abbott. He was an archaeologist and naturalist, and and a writer. Oh, and a botanical collector. Oh, and a scientific collector. No, seriously, that's all here. June 6th, Russell J. Waters, a U.S. representative from California. He was an American teacher, lawyer, businessman, author, and a one-term representative from California at the turn of the 20th century. Of course he was, because why do one thing? July 15th, Alfred W. Benson, a U.S. Senator from Kansas. He was also known he was also known as Albert. So he was known as Alfred or Albert Washburn Benson. I don't know why. Okay, but he was an American attorney, a politician, and a jurist who served as a United States Senator from Canada. July 19th, Francis J. Higginson, U.S. Navy Admiral. He was an officer in the U.S. Navy during the American Civil War and Spanish-American War. He rose to the rank of Rear Admiral and was the last Commander-in-Chief of the North Atlantic Squadron. I don't know anything about them. The North Atlantic Squadron, what did they do? And the first Commander-in-Chief of the North Atlantic Fleet. July 29th, Charles Warren Stone, member of the U.S. House of Representatives from Pennsylvania. August 1st, Robert Todd Lincoln, that should sound familiar, statesman and businessman, and the only surviving son of Abraham Lincoln. August 19th, C.I. Scofield, a theologian. He was a minister and writer whose best-selling annotated Bible popularized futurism and dispensationalism and among fundamentalist Christians. September 25th, Melville Reuben Bissell. Does that sound familiar? That last name, it should. He was an entrepreneur and inventor of the carpet sweeper. Do you know what the carpet sweeper is? That became the vacuum. Okay, there are people that still call it a sweeper, which I really find fascinating. The American entrepreneur invented the improvements on the modern carpet sweeper, and the Bissell Corporation is named after him. It's still going. You can go to a Walmart or something and find Bissell vacuums. I came across that and I went, oh, that's amazing. I didn't know this. And how many Melvilles do you hear? I mean, this is 2. For me, it's 2. Okay, October 28th, Julia Anna Oram. She was an educator, lecturer, and author, because be extra, was an American educator, lecturer, and author back up. She was principal of the Philadelphia School of Elocution, darling, and of the Mountain Lake Park Summer School of Elocution. I'm sure I would have her head spinning. She was a successful Shakespearean reader and lecturer, and I have her signature. I will include my notes. My notes are taken from Wikipedia. I always give them credit. I put their information in the description box. I am so incredibly grateful for their information and what they have, and check them out. I know what you're thinking. Wikipedia, where the information used to be wrong, you'd be surprised now. They are more consistent and accurate than what you can find on, let's say, some browser that starts with a G and ends with an E and has 2 O's in it. I'm just saying. November 23rd, Henry C. Payne. He was a politician, a U.S. Postmaster General. How do you get that job? Okay, I think he was a Postmaster General for 2 years. Oh, and under President Theodore Roosevelt. Oh, wow. So how do you become a U.S. Postmaster General? And he served as chairman of the Republican National Committee, because don't do one thing. But I'm serious. How do you become a U.S. Postmaster General? November 25th, Henry Ware Elliott. He was an industrialist and a philanthropist, an American who lived in St. Louis, Missouri. He was the father of poet T.S. Eliot. Is that cool? Okay, November 26th, Charles A. Chickering. He was a representative of New York. November 27th, Cornelius Vanderbilt II. Sound familiar? Anybody, Vanderbilt? Railroad magnate. He was the favorite grandson of Commodore Cornelius Vanderbilt, who bequeathed him $5 million. Can you imagine that being taxed today, inheritance tax? And the eldest son of William Henry, or Billy Vanderbilt, and he bequeathed him about $70 million. Wow. In his turn, he succeeded them as the chairman and the president of the New York Central and related railroad lines in 1885. When did they sell? Did they sell their, what is that called? Their shares or whatever? I'm curious. I have questions. November 30th, Martha George Rogers Ripley was a physician. So women out there, if you want to study about a female physician during the Manifest Destiny time period, this woman counts. She was a suffragist and a professor of medicine, a founder of the maternity hospital in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Ripley was one of the most outspoken activists for disadvantaged female rights, a prominent leader in the American Woman Suffrage Association. Ripley also served 6 years as president of this association. So I'm just saying, if you wanted to study maternity hospitals, if you want to study about midwifery, if you wanted to study about doctors or things during that time period, because a lot of these doctors during that time period didn't even wash their hands. Okay. December 28th, Prentice Ingraham, military officer and author of dime fiction. Yes. Now, he had, I believe, 154 novels. So the little dime novels that were really popular during that time period. I don't think I've read any of those. And I'm wondering how... I am going to search online and see if I can find any that are online and then include them in the community page. There has to be at least one, right? He wrote 154 of them. Okay, so now we are on to the deaths of 1843. January 11th, Francis Scott Key, yes, the author of The Star-Spangled Banner. Can you sing it? I can't. It's that high note. That high note. Okay, I'm an alto. March 27th, Samuel McRoberts, U.S. Senator from Illinois from 1841 to 1843. March 31st, George A. Wagaman, I don't know if that's how you say it, U.S. Senator from Louisiana from 1831 to 1835, born in 1782. So even though his time period as a senator isn't in Manifest Destiny, and even though he was born in 1782, he died in the time period for Manifest Destiny. So if you want to read him, he counts. See how easy this is? It's wonderful. April 1st, John Armstrong Jr. He was the 7th United States Secretary of War. He was an American soldier, a diplomat, and statesman who was State Secretary of War under President James Madison. Counts. Totally counts. A member of the Democratic Republican Party, Armstrong was United States Minister to France. So if you want to read about France during that time period or read about him while he was in France, go for it. April 17th, Samuel Morey. He was an inventor who worked on an early internal combustion engines, or engines, plural, and was a pioneer in steamships who accumulated a total of 20 patents. 20. That's wow. April 25th, John McCracken Robinson. He was senator from Illinois from 1830 to 1841, but he was born near Georgetown, Kentucky. That's not too far. It's about 2 hours, 2.5, depending on where in Georgetown he was born. Anyways, I know where it's at. I've been there. He attended the common schools, not the public schools, and graduated from Transylvania University in Lexington. Okay, there was this guy, when Prometheus was going to a private school, not elementary, it was preschool, there was a boy in his class whose parents taught at Transylvania. Boy, that was a rabbit trail. He studied law, so we're talking about John McCracken Robinson. He studied law and was admitted to the bar and began practice in Carmi, Illinois. He was a judge of the Illinois Supreme Court and served as a general in the state militia. He was elected in 1830 as a Jacksonian, later a Democrat, to the U.S. Senate to fill the vacancy caused by the death of John McLean. Not McLeod, the Clan McLeod, not him, McLean. Sorry, I had to do that. I need to go eat. He was re-elected in 1835 and served from December 11th, 1830 until his retirement on March 3rd, 1841, and was not a candidate for re-election. While in the Senate, he was chairman of the Committee on Engrossed Bills. What are engrossed bills? I feel so naive. 22nd Congress, and a member of the Committees on Militia, 22nd through 24th Congresses, and Post Office and Post Roads. I'm not even done with Robinson. How am I not done with, wait, who was I talking about? Robinson. I'm sorry, we're not done with Robinson. He was elected an Associate Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court. Oh, that's pretty cool. In 1843. And served until his death 2 months later. Oh, bummer. His internment was in the old graveyard, Carmi, Illinois. Wow, he did a lot. He was a busy man. May 28th. This name ought to sound very familiar. Noah Webster. You know, the dictionary. Lexicographer. He was born in 1758, and then obviously died in 1843, was an American lexicographer, textbook pioneer, English language spelling reformer. Okay, so Webster. Spelling reformer, political writer, editor, and author. He has been called the father of American scholarship and education. Oh, that's interesting. He authored a large number of blueback speller books. Do you all know what blueback speller books are? I'm going to look that up too. Which were used to teach American children how to spell and read. Oh, now I'm wondering, how much more challenging were they back then versus today's education? Let's have a discussion about that. Yes, please. He is also the author of the Modern Merriam-Webster Dictionary that was first published in 1828, an American Dictionary of the English Language. He was born in Hartford, West Hartford, Connecticut. Webster graduated from Yale College in 1778. He passed the bar examined after studying law under Oliver Ellsworth and others, but was unable to find work as a lawyer. Well, that's interesting. Now, during this time period, did you have to go to school to become a lawyer, or did you study under a lawyer and then take the exam and pass the bar and become a lawyer? But if you can't get a job... So he found some financial success by opening a private school and writing a series of educational books, including the, like I said, the blueback speller. A strong supporter of the American Revolution and the ratification of the United States Constitution. He was later criticized, Webster later criticized American society as being in need of an intellectual foundation. Oh, he thought that back then. Oh my. Imagine what he would think now. Okay. Wow. So he believed American nationalism had distinctive qualities that differed from European values. July 7th, John Holmes, Maine politician, was an American politician who served as U.S. representative from Massachusetts and was one of the first two U.S. senators from Maine. That's interesting. Oh, and then he was also a principal architect of the Missouri Compromise. Oh. He was noted for his involvement in the Treaty of Ghent also. Filing it away, John Holmes. I need to research him. July 9th, Washington Allston, painter, the American Titian? He was a poet, and he was born in Waccamaw Parish, South Carolina. South Carolina. Allston pioneered America's romantic movement of landscape painting. So if you want to learn about art and portraits and paintings and like oil paint, whatever, it all counts. All counts. All counts. He was well known during his lifetime for his experiments with dramatic subject matters and his bold use of light and atmospheric color. August Sequoyah, that's a name everybody should know. Creator of the Cherokee syllabary. And he was also known as George Gist or George Guess. I did not know that. I did not know that he had two American names or English names. He was also a polymath, did not know that, a neographer, and he died in Mexico. I don't think I knew that either. August 10th, Robert Adrain. He was a mathematician, was an Irish political exile who won renown as a mathematician in the U.S. He left Ireland after leading Republican insurgents in the Rebellion of 1798 and settled in New Jersey and Pennsylvania with Nathaniel Bowditch. Prometheus read a book, well, we both did. We read a book when he was in elementary school, and it was one of our favorites. Nathaniel Bowditch, he needs to be studied on his own as well. But when I found this out, I was amazed. So he shares the distinction of being the first scholar to publish original mathematical research in America. This included his formulation of the method of least squares while working on a surveying problem, and in 2 proofs of the exponential law of error published independently of Carl Friedrich Gauss. And I think that's how you say his name, is Gauss, for which he is chiefly remembered. His fields of applied mathematical interest includes physics, astronomy, I don't know this third one, geodesy, Geodesy. How do you say that? Many of his mathematical investigations focused on the shape of the earth. Shape, not flat, shape. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. September 11th, Joseph Nicolet, geographer. He encountered financial and professional difficulties resulting from political turbulence in France following the July Revolution and the rising dominance of physics as a laboratory science. Penniless, he immigrated to the U.S. in 1832, sailing from the port of Brest, B-R-E-S-T. Nicolet hoped to boost his reputation among European academics through his work in the U.S. He intended to make a scientific tour of the country and had a goal of using his expertise to accurately map the Mississippi River Valley. He arrived in Washington, D.C., where he met with scientists and government officials discussing the scientific surveys of the country. He traveled to Nolens, from where he intended to proceed to St. Louis, Missouri, but due to a cholera outbreak, travel by steamboat was practically halted. Instead, he spent the next 3 years traveling through the South, primarily between New Orleans and Baltimore. Nicolet finally arrived in St. Louis in 1835. September 30th, Richard Harlan. He was a zoologist. He was also a paleontologist, anatomist, and a medical doctor. He was the first American to devote significant time and attention to vertebrate paleontology and was one of the most important contributors to the field in the early 19th century. November 10th, John Trumbull. He was a painter and a military officer best known for his historical paintings of the American Revolutionary War. Again, I will try to remember to put pictures, of which he was a veteran. He was, he was a veteran, and he had been called Painter of the Revolution. Trumbull's Declaration of Independence, one of his 4 paintings, hangs in the United States Capitol Rotunda. So it's used in the reverse of the current United States $2 bills. Now, how many people watching think that the $2 bill, 1, you've never heard of it, or 2, you think it's a fake? And then I have his information here, which I will include in the notes in the community page. Oh, and he got his education at Harvard. Anyways, I'm going to end there. No, I didn't go over all the notes, but it's already gotten long enough. I thank you very much for all of your time. Let me know in the comments section who you were interested with and who you think you're going to research. Anyways, or just say hi. Bye. Is that right? That doesn't make sense. Sorry.